Hi everyone, so you've decided to highlight your hair at home, and let me guess, you want it to look like it's from a salon, you want to do it safely so that it doesn't damage your hair, and also do it at your convenience and of course on a budget, because doing your highlights at home is a fraction of the cost of what it would take at a salon, but you want the results to look good. So I'm not a professional hairstylist, but I've highlighted my own hair at home many times over. I'm by no means a master at it, but I've gone through all of the mistakes and mishaps that DIYers normally do. So my tips are gonna take you through everything to do and avoid when you're highlighting your hair at home. This isn't gonna be a step-by-step tutorial. When I went to find a video to figure out how to highlight my hair at home, I thought a lot of the videos were great at taking you through the step-by-steps, but they didn't go through the specific tips and things to do and not to do while you go through the highlighting process. So let's jump into tip number one. Tip number one is to be prepared. Completely set up your workspace with all the tools and materials that you're gonna need for the process. It's gonna take about 30 to 45 minutes, and you'll need to work fast and uninterrupted, because as soon as you put that first foil in, it's gonna start processing, which means that you're gonna have 45 minutes until maybe you finish all of the sections of your hair, and you don't want that first section to over process while you're waiting for the rest of it to get done. So make sure you have uninterrupted time and everything you need out and ready to go. Tip number two is don't wash your hair prior. You don't want clean hair. You want some natural oils left on your scalp and hair follicle, and that will protect your scalp from irritating chemicals. Tip number three is to start where you want your hair the lightest. So for example, I will always start front and center because I like having that light and bright hair right around my face. So start in the front because that is gonna have the most time to process while you're foiling the rest of your hair. Tip number four is to take time doing the weave when you pick out the hairs that you're actually gonna be highlighting within your foil. So you're gonna wanna weave that metal end of the comb through and get some really small strands of hair, or else you're gonna end up with really chunky highlights and it's going to look like a DIY job. Tip number five, and I've made this mistake before, as much as you want to get the highlights very close to your roots, you do not want to highlight or apply your mixture past the foils. If you apply the mixture past your foils, you're going to end up with the giant globs of highlighted hair close to your scalp, and it's not going to be a cute look. So when you do finally pick out the strands of hair that you're going to highlight, make sure that you thoroughly saturate them. If you don't thoroughly saturate them with your brush, you're going to end up with almost a zebra stripe or patches of highlights within the section of hair that you've partitioned out. Tip number seven is to not bleach over color treated or previously highlighted hair. Ideally, you're gonna pick out strands that haven't been treated prior, because if you keep treating and repeat treating the same hair, you're gonna end up with damaged, dry hair that's probably gonna break off. I have thin enough hair already and I really wanna avoid damage. So what I do is I try to pick out sections that haven't been previously highlighted. If I do need to retouch roots on strands that have been highlighted before, I will work my mixture down from the top to the bottom, and I will start blending and using less product as I get towards the ends where it's already been highlighted, and avoid putting any of my bleach mixture on hair that's already been treated. Now, everyone wants to know how you do the back section of your hair. So this is a tricky one. I've watched several videos before. Sometimes people do it with a mirror. What I typically do is I'll just pick off a back section that I can kind of lean my head down and see in the front mirror. The alternative is having a friend, husband, roommate do that back section for you. It's a pretty straightforward process. So if you have an extra set of hands, you can definitely have them do a couple little sections in the back for you. Otherwise, you can use a highlighting cap, which is a great resource to get the back of your head, but you're gonna wanna do the cap at a different point in time. It's gonna be too much to have the front of your head treated with foils while you have the cap and are trying to work the back. So I definitely recommend doing two different sessions if you're gonna use the cap for highlighting the back of your hair. Tip number 9, and this is to get the sides or whatever sections you do second and last to process quickly and catch up to the section that you did first. For me, I typically do this front section first, and then I do my sides and work my way to the back. So that back section, I'm gonna blow dry. That's gonna heat up the foils and make the hair process faster and catch up to the front section of your hair, so it evens out the highlighting all around your head. Number 10 is to check the foils before you start pulling them out. Once those foils come out, you are not gonna get them back and you're just gonna end up with a huge mess. So take a peek very carefully to see where your hair is at. You absolutely don't wanna over-treat your hair or it will just get brittle and break, but you wanna be very careful in taking a peek at those foils, seeing where your hair is at. Do not remove them until you're completely confident that you're done processing your hair. Tip number 11, and some may disagree with me, is to wait to tone your hair. I got a bleach and I'll slide it over at Sally's that I got recommended. It has a very cool hue to it, and I haven't used any toner on my highlights that I did about a week ago now. I just used some purple shampoo. So wait to tone your hair because that is just another developer, another chemical on your hair. If you're wanting to keep your hair healthy, you can wait to tone. See how it turns out. You might like the look. Obviously have that toner on hand in case you end up with really orange brassy hair, but I highly recommend waiting, using something that's lighter, gentler on your hair, like a purple or blue shampoo. See what results you get, see if you like them, and then if you decide that it's too brassy for you, move forward with a toner from there. Tip number 12, my final tip, is to add some moisture back into your hair. So you can do this a lot of different ways. I triple down with the products on this. So I definitely use that purple and blue shampoo. That's just gonna take out that brassiness, especially if you're not planning on toning. And then I have a tea tree hair and body moisturizer, but it's also a leave-in conditioner. I really like this one, and I will put this in my damp, clean hair after I do the highlights and for several days consistently after I do the highlights, and that's just to re-moisturize my hair. The other treatment that I do is the Olaplex, and this one is about a 10-minute treatment. This also just re-moisturizes your hair. Some people like it, some people don't. I have really thin, brittle, dry hair, and I find that this really rejuvenates it and brings the moisture back to it. So that concludes my tips for highlighting your hair at home. If you have any questions on my process or what products I use, definitely leave them in the comments below. Or if you totally disagree with these tips and have your own tips that you use when highlighting your hair, definitely leave those below as well. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.